It's Raimi, and today we're doing our Q1 Bookish report, okay? I don't really love doing monthly reading wrap-ups. They feel sometimes a little redundant to me, so I decided to split it up into quarterly overviews, quarterly reports, quarterly wrap-ups, whatever you want to call it. We have finally finished Q1. I have some fun stats and books that I want to talk about, and I even put together a little presentation for us, and we're just going to dive right in. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm back in school. That's crazy. For the month of January, I read 5 books in the month of January for the most pages that I've read in a month thus far, with 2,167 pages, which I feel like that's quite a bit. I don't know. The lowest average rating that I've had thus far at 3.25, which is not great. I will say I'm going to do a video about this later in the year, but I am using a bunch of different reading tracking apps to kind of see what ones I like best, why I like them. I got all of these stats from Storygraph. Storygraph thus far has been one of the best apps for tracking stats and kind of getting to differentiate between like month to month versus some of the other apps only allow you to do year-end reviews. Obviously, 100% of my reading was fiction. My top genres were romance and fantasy. The average book length was 433 pages, and my average time to finish a book was 5 days. I really feel like the 5-day average is what I want to aim for. 5 days feels reasonable. It doesn't feel like I'm rushing too much, and it doesn't feel like I am missing anything. It doesn't feel like I'm going too slow or I'm in a reading slump. So the books that I read in January, very first book I read of the year was The Madwife, and I gave that one 4 stars, and I really enjoyed that book. I was not expecting it to be so captivating and horrific, and also based off of true events and based off of real history that happened to real women, I think is why it made it so much more horrific. But it was such a good book. It was written really, really, really well. Obviously, that was a good start to the year and a good 4-star book. Then I read The Iron Trial by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I didn't know that they had partner written a whole middle grade series, and I think that is just so cool. I love Holly Black. I haven't ever read a Cassandra Clare book, so I was curious about this. I really enjoyed it. I think it definitely is your classic middle grade, like in the same vein of like Harry Potter and those like classic childhood books. It was kind of interesting going back and reading something like this, especially when it doesn't have the sentimental value like Harry Potter does for me, whereas this, I didn't have as much of a emotional connection to it, but I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to continue the series, but it was really fun to read, and I'm really glad that I did. I gave this one 4 stars as well. For book club, we read This Behemoth. We read Brimstone by Callie Hart, and I gave this one a 2.75. I did not really care for this book. I felt like book 1 left off with so much potential, and I am like, what even happened in this book? Like, there was not a lot that actually happened. It was a lot of court politics. It was a lot of intrigue. It was a lot of like, oh, maybe this is gonna happen. And then I just didn't really feel like we got anywhere. Like, I don't really feel like we arrived anywhere. Arove? Oh my gosh, okay. That is not a word. I just feel like for Brimstone being the namesake, it was quite disappointing in that category. So then I read Under the Oak Tree, Volume 1. This is a gorgeous book. This is honestly what intrigued me. Was I actually found the second book in store. They didn't have the first one in stock, so I ordered this one on Pango Books. It is like a little medieval kind of romance. I have mixed feelings about this book series. It starts off with a trigger warning that I, 1, wasn't expecting, and 2, don't enjoy reading about. And so that kind of really muddied the tone for the rest of the series, even though I wound up really enjoying book 2 a lot more. But like, would I recommend this? I don't know, because I don't know that I could feel good about recommending a book with that kind of trigger warning. Just the way that the story develops afterwards, it's just a really, really weird setup for these characters, and I don't know. So I got rid of book 2. I still have book 1, but this was my least favorite of the 2, so I'm probably going to part ways with this. I read The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. This book was so disappointing, and I'm so sad to say that, because Savor It by Tara DeWitt is one of my favorite romances. I ate up that book. It was so good. This I wanted to love. I bought it while I was in Europe. I was like having this like European dream vibe, like romance. Like I was just like so about it, and then I read it and I was just so disappointed. It was not memorable. It felt very rinse and repeat. I don't know, and I just felt like the couple was very disjointed. I wasn't rooting for them. I did not care about whether or not they were gonna end up together. Like I literally did not care, and I feel like the conflict that was happening in the book was resolved way too easily. Like it wasn't satisfying at all. So that was a 2.25. 2.75? I gave that a 2.75. I think I might need to change it to a 2. It was not good. I wouldn't recommend. I would read one of her other, oh, what? My light just died. Okay, we have 60% brightness back, not 95 that I had it at before, but whatever. We're doing what we can, okay? I'm trying to be better about using lighting, and I got a new microphone. Like I'm really trying. Just sometimes I feel like me and technology don't mix. So moving on to February, I read 5 books again in the month of February. I did have a little less pages, but I think that's because obviously I wasn't reading Brimstone again. That book is so long, but I read 1,926 pages, and my average rating went up to 3.8. So we're getting there. My average book length was 387 pages, so a little bit less than January. My top genres for February was romance, contemporary, and fantasy. I have a couple of the books that I read in February. For book club, I read Heart of the Raven Prince by Tessania Odette. This is the second book in this Entangled with Fae series that I've read. The other one that I read was Curse of the Wolf King, and I think I liked that one better than this one. Neither of the gals in book club liked this book at all. I would probably give it a 4. It was slower. I would almost classify this more as a cozy fantasy. This is a Cinderella retelling, but some of it just felt a little dragged out or redundant, and I felt like it could have been trimmed down. This book is almost 500 pages, which is crazy for a little fantasy retelling romance. Then I read Picking Daisies on Sundays, and this book literally needs to go down to like a 1. Only because I don't remember anything about it, like really, truly. I remember it was a romance. I remember that I read it. Maybe I remember there like being some fashion involved and like some... That's about it. Truly, it was one of the most non-memorable books I have read in a very, very long time. Next, I read Under the Oak Tree Volume 2. Like I was saying previously, I really enjoyed it more than Volume 1 because we were finally really diving deep into these characters. You see a lot more growth and connection in their romantic relationship. Still have mixed feelings about the series, but book 2 I definitely enjoyed a lot more. So I gave that one a 3.5. Next, I read Ready Player One. Oh my gosh, if you haven't read this book, you seriously need to read it. It is so good. I listened to the audio and I would highly recommend the audiobook. This was a book that we read for book club as well, and we all loved it so much, and then we all went and watched the movie. The movie is trash, and I don't even say that as like in a the book was better, so much better than you. No, my friend described it as like if you read the book 20 years ago and then you were like, oh yeah, I remember that book, and then you made a movie about the book that you read 20 years ago and you were like, oh, I kind of remember what it was about. That is like the best way to describe it. It was not good. Don't watch the movie. Don't do it, but read the book. So good. I gave it a 4.5. I just love the gang of characters in the book. I'm so glad also to read it as a book club because it was so fun to talk about and get excited about a book all together. I love when we all find a good book that we all really enjoy. I think we all rated it at least a 4 or higher, which is great for a book club book. That's what you want. So yeah, and now I have to pick our next book club book, and I feel like I haven't been picking good ones, so I need to redeem myself with the book club picks. But last but certainly not least, for February, I read Just Friends by Haley Pham. I did a reading vlog on this if you want to go ahead and watch that for more details. But I got the ARC digitally and read it before it came out. I gave this book a 4. I thought it was very cute, very sweet, very typical romance, second chance romance, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like the setting was great for like spring coming into summer. I felt like it was a really good book for that. For a first book, I was thoroughly impressed. Like, it just is so impressive to me when I see people that can come up with a complete plot from start to finish with complete thoughts and complete like everything. Like, to me that would be so hard to do, and I just can't knock it. Like, that is very genuinely so impressive. It will never not be impressive to me. So that was a 4, and that was the last book I read in February. Moving on to March, I read 2 books. Okay, March was a little rough. I had some different health things going on. I wasn't spending a ton of time reading, but I was a lot more selective about the books that I did read. I think it really paid off. I read 864 pages total. This is what's really incredible about me being a little more selective on what I'm reading, because I wasn't feeling that great and I didn't have a lot of extra time to be putting towards reading. I bumped up my reading average. Obviously 2 versus 5, there's gonna be some discrepancy there, but my average rating was 4.75, which is a huge jump from the previous months. I think that's pretty cool. I read some really, really good books in March. The average book length was 432 pages, which is a pretty good amount. I think this is accurate. The average time to finish a book was 17 days. Just because there was so much going on, that makes a lot of sense. And the top genres, which seem to be a consistent theme, is romance and fantasy. Obviously, I love a good romantasy. So the 2 books that I read in March, oh my gosh, this was my first 5-star of 2026. I absolutely fell in love with this book. It is The Trident and the Pearl. I made a short talking about it. I have an upcoming video that I'll be talking more about it. I am just absolutely so in love with this book. It came out in February. I got the ARC for it, and I just can't even believe that I have the ARC for this book. This book was so unique to the fantasy romance genre. I thought the author did such an incredible job. The style and the voice of this author is so unique in the best way. She is one of my new favorite authors. She will be an auto-buy author, and I cannot wait for book 2, even though it's not slotted to come out until February of 27, which I totally understand because this book literally just came out, but I will be not so patiently waiting. The second book I read was also really high up there. I gave it a 4.5, and that is To Cage a Wild Bird. I was also gifted this ARC. Oh my gosh, this book had me on the edge of my seat. I binged this book. I am eating up the dystopian romance genre right now. It is like all I can think about. It's all that I want to read. I felt like the romance in this book was such a good slow burn, and I just wanted so much more of it. It was so good. The twists and turns, and I felt like the disturbing parts that are a dystopian society it was done really well, mixed with the romance that you just wanted to see bloom, mixed with the found family, mixed with all of the twists and turns that the author threw at us, and I cannot wait for book 2. I am so excited. March, it was small, but it was mighty. It was so good. For my total Q1 stats, I read 12 books, which I feel like is a little low, but still really good. I'm still excited about it, and I'm excited to kind of ramp back up in April. I've already finished 2 books so far in April, which is a win, especially because one of them was an 800-page book, so we're doing good. I read a total of 4,957 pages in Q1, which I think is such a fun stat to see. Obviously, it doesn't, like, it's an arbitrary number, but I just think that's so cool to say, like, I read almost 5,000 pages in the last 3 months. 2 things that I want to improve for Q2. My average days to finish a book averaged out around 9 days. Like I was saying before, I would really like to have that be closer to 5, whether that's like 5 to 7 days. I feel like a week to read a book is where I feel really good. I feel like I'm actually putting a good amount of time to reading, which I don't put stress on the amount of books I read every year. It's more about, am I actually committing to reading every single day because it's something that I love? And I can tell when I'm not getting through books. One is I am not reading the right book. That can definitely be a contributing factor, and that's when it's time to just put the book down and get a new one. 2, it can be that I am distracting myself. So am I spending too much time on my phone? Am I like watching, you know, TV, whatever it is, like that I could be spending time reading. 3, it also could be like, am I stuffing my schedule so much so that I'm not leaving myself room to do something that I love and enjoy, which is also a huge contributing factor. With me kind of gauging and looking at these stats, it's like, okay, over the last 3 months, I don't feel like I was putting in the love into this hobby that I really enjoy, and I can work on that. I can improve that. That's an area that I can do better in. Also, my average rating being 3.75, I would love to improve that. I mean, that's a little bit harder to do because you don't know if you're gonna love a book until you read it, but I think being a little more selective about the books that I'm reading and not just reading a book either because it's popular or because, oh, I should read it for a video or whatever. Reading a book because it sounds good to me. I am such a mood reader, and I need to remember that, and I need to understand that if I'm not in the mood to read it, it might be a great book and it might at a different time be a higher rated book, but because I'm not in the mood for it, it could potentially ruin that experience. So just being cognizant and being a little more selective about what I'm reading and when, I think will potentially help increase that average rating. I'd love to get it around 4, so that not like a crazy jump. That doesn't mean that every single book has to be 4 stars, has to be 5 stars. I think a 3-star book can still be a good book. It just has a certain time and a place. I think if you're having so many good books back to back to back to back to back, it could put a lot of pressure on you to pick the next perfect book, and I don't think that's necessary. And I think there's all different stories for all different scenarios. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling. I think the average star rating is not as important to me as the average days it takes to finish a book. That is my Q1 bookish review, my Q1 stats. I think this video is super fun, and I'm excited to do a few more for this year. I feel like Q2 is off to a great start already. I'm feeling so excited and just so motivated to read. I have book club tonight, so like even better. I think this is a good way for me to gather some stats, talk about the books that I've read, but not be too redundant, assessing where I am and where I want to go, and also having fun with it. You know, like it was so much fun to put together this little presentation, and now I have it, and now I can look back on it and review it, and that's pretty cool. That is it for this video. Let me know what some of your Q1 bookish stats are. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe because I'm really looking forward to my next video, so you don't want to miss it. Happy reading! Bye!